Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back and a very good evening to all of you. That was a fantastic panel discussion session on digital payments, revolution, innovation, opportunity, and competition. And what a plethora of knowledge was shared by this panel with all the expert panel members. And also, I'm extremely glad that even though it's past 2 o'clock in day two, we have a record attendance of over 1,300 plus live delegates. So a big thank you to all of you for giving your time on both the days of the event. We even had our record broken yesterday with 1,000 plus delegates, and today we are 1,300 plus live delegates. So thank you so much for the love and support. And I request people who have still not registered and joined in, please do join in, because we'll be now going in with our last session of the day two and the last session of the entire India Banking Summit on a very interesting subject and presentation. So now, ladies and gentlemen, moving on to the next presentation of the day, a corporate presentation by our category partner IBM India, to be delivered by Mr. Vikas Prasad, Director Infrastructure Services from IBM India in South Asia. So I request to Mr. Vikas to kindly be available for the presentation, because you will be now on stage with your presentation. Welcome to the India Banking Summit.
Good afternoon, folks. I'm here to talk about the digital innovation, the way it is shaping up in the banks. Right. Today, the banking industry faces a rebirth, by necessity, if you ask me. As the digital, age morphs into the cognitive era, success depends on radical transformation that enables the integration of advanced analytics. You talk about artificial AI, machine learning, robotics, blockchain, and many more. Right. In addition, leveraging these technologies is largely coordinated in the direction of personalizing the experience for clients. Right. And many banks today are looking at their data, which is very, very unstructured today. How can they tap into it and help offer personalized services to its customers? And what I intend to capture in context here are the four areas which I'm going to talk about, which focuses on how the digital transformation for the banks is shaping up. Right. So if you see these four blocks on the left and the right, let me just cover each one of them and draw some context on how relevant it is and what are we doing, what IBM is doing to bring this to life, with the customers. I talked about customer experience, right? And everyone is, thanks to the pandemic, looking at extreme digitization. Right now, what basically it intends to do is, again, to create focused customer experience, which is more cohesive and personal from a digital journey perspective. And moving beyond the customer interface, digitalization includes middle back office operations and support functions. Right, integrating all of this together, where processes are transformed and automated into intelligent workflow. Right. Omni-channel, I'm sure all of you are aware of this concept, and it's much more relevant in today's world than it was earlier, wherein customers are increasingly comfortable with technology. You and me are interacting with banks in multiple ways. So unlike in the past, right, wherein we had to go to the branch to transact, we have been these are enlightened and empowered and we'll not accept a cookie cutter approach here. Right, we need personalized service from the banks. We expect to be treated as individuals and according to our preferences, and having solid multi-channel infrastructure, right, providing an omni-channel experience which allows customers like us to enjoy seamless experiences. Now, for banks, now is the time to take advantage of the wealth of the customer information available. Right, and as the world becomes more and more digital, capitalizing on omni-channel opportunities, could be the difference between the banks who are the front runners and clocking those revenues which they're targeting for, and the banks who are considered traditional and far behind the digital journey. Similarly, cognitive and AI enablement, right? While many organizations still have a far way to go here, we've discovered that outperformance in this segment have already taken strides, and they are full-fledged cognitive banks today. They have large leveraging data for insights, right? Which again is targeted towards enhanced customer engagement. But the question here is, how can traditional banks transform to beyond their historic functions and become cognitive banks, right? And platform business model. I would like to give you an example here in terms of what we have done. I know how many of you have heard about Baroda Kisan. This is an initiative that we have worked with Bank of Baroda very closely. And it talks about the platform business model, right? Which in some point in time was only adopted by startups, right? But are potentially taking direction in the enterprises as well today. Now, we have heard about the platform business model. I'm sure you're all aware of, looking back at the examples of what Amazon has done to us, Alibaba. Paytm is a good example here, which basically has evolved from a single service entity in prepaid mobile banking to a platform, right, that enables customers to buy, airline tickets, movie tickets, reserve hotels, rent cars, and so many other things. Now, coming back to Bank of Baroda. Bank of Baroda basically wanted to reimagine their business model, right? And they were creating new business streams in agri-banking. Basically, the Baroda Kisan initiative that Bank of Baroda is running is a pan-India initiative to encourage farmers to connect with services offered by Bank of Baroda and the government, right? Basically, it gives the farmers a platform to buy fertilizers, seeds, everything required with farming. And at the same time, gets them access to various schemes under the Atmanirbhar package of the government. While farmers get benefited, what is in it for Bank of Baroda? Farmers are using their platform, and therefore that's increased transaction volume, and all the transactions that happens to the Bank of Baroda gateway. So it's that's kind of creating a very different business model for Bank of Baroda, right? Moving on now, the second portion, right, which is the operations part. How is it transforming today, right? Apart from the fact that enterprises today are operating to be digital, agile, and intelligent, right? Modernized applications deployed on hybrid multi-cloud environments is something which is the need of the hour here, right? And they should be designed for resiliency, built for scalability, virtually zero risk tolerance, right? And of course, cost effective, right? They should deliver services at a lower cost. And they offer entirely new ways of working to the client. Now, we've worked with another Indian bank here, wherein we have helped them optimize and automate their call center operations. By basically just picking up mundane tasks in their operations, and taking that away from human workers and making it work through digital workers, thereby improving the quality of service, response time drastically, right? And we have also used AI here, which basically gives a way of personalized service whenever HNI customer calls, or whenever any other, basically giving a classification of the type of customers who's calling, and therefore personalizing the service for the customers, right? Now, the most important thing is, again, have a digitally agile infrastructure, right? And then how can you do that? It's again, which I'm going to talk about. Intelligent workflows, that was the call center example that I talked about, right? App modernization, we're talking about usage and adoption of cloud here. An open hybrid cloud platform enables a financial institution to secure, build, run, manage, the workloads in a consistent way virtually across the environments. It doesn't only stop there, but in fact, there are several significant benefits of a hybrid cloud strategy. Helps banks to scale their data in real time, avoids expensive propositions of maintaining high digital capacity otherwise, right, enables the bank to move to a digital resource which on need, if need arises, allows them to responding to the shifting customer demands, right? At the same time, speed and innovation, not limited to a specific geography or location, ensures data security much better, and security threats are changing constantly. Cloud has a better ability to handle those rather than old traditional infrastructure. Regulations, compliance, that's weighing in far too more on the banks, especially in the last few years, right? It helps, complying to the framework, GDPR, various regional consumer privacy acts. Banks require the mix of the flexibility of public cloud and private cloud security. Cost structures, right? In the last 2 years, we know how important this particular aspect has been, not only for banks, for every other enterprise. As the financial institutions move to a reset, recover, and revive, after the pandemic, a new normal looks very, very different, right? They'll have to reconfigure the businesses, their operating models, for higher number of NPAs, defaults, have to offer low interest rates, which is need of the hour. Again, tightening the credit and the capital constraints, which would be weighing in at the same time, which basically calls for a complete new way of working, right? Reinvented customer relationships. The uncertain market environment, remote working, and the change in consumption has impacted the routine and expectation of customers in terms of digital adoption has grown. The banks now will have to relook at the approach and engagement with the customers in new innovative ways. I did talk about that earlier, the platform business model specifically, right? And therefore, using market platforms, bank can enable trusted exchange as well as provide infrastructure and rules for the marketplace, right? Similarly, data and AI, right? Now, again, forward-looking institutions, if you ask me, can seize the challenges and convert them into opportunities, right? By accelerating their migration to a new business architecture, using AI, embedded customer ecosystems, improving the experiences, and of course, then them to do so, their reliance on data will be more and more in an increased fashion as we move forward, and they can't do it without a proper use of their data, right? And therefore, if you have to make sense out of unstructured data, analytic tools will come into play, and they'll help manage the vast information flows. Why data modernization? Look at the way the players have changed, from the regulators to from the industry and competition. The fintechs, especially, have emerged as a new player. Yeah. Why is it so? Now, one, I would say it's because increasingly digitally native customers, in the past 20 years or so, the demography is completely changed in our country. We have got around 65% of population which is around 35 years of age, and therefore they are much more technical savvy than it ever used to be, right, 20 years back. Therefore, the expectation from this particular customer set would be much higher from a technical quotient perspective, right? Real-time service patterns. To cope up with the digital demands, the banks will have to be transforming their payment systems, making it more real-time. The data format of the customer engagement is moving to conversational than text, right? And with the smartphones, it's obvious, that it's moving to conversations, right? The customer engagement has completely changed, right? And disruptions in the marketplace economies are far more evident today. Now, commerce is moving from e-commerce marketplace, creating benefits for network economies, right? To win in the marketplace network today, banks are upgrading their applications, technologies to platforms and APIs. Again, regulators in order to manage the systemic risk, and monitor policy better, are building data lakes, right? And the data science model to early warn signals emanating from microprudential returns to manage their macro prudential responsibilities better. Now, to support their mandates, regulators are also establishing readable regulatory instructions, right, which everyone has to follow. AI, we all know the example of chatbot, right? Every bank, if you just go and click on any of the bank's homepage, you would be greeted by a chatbot, right? It acts like an answering machine, wherein you have direct and basic operations, including opening or closing the account, transfer of funds, etc., managed with the help of a chatbot. Then you look at a tailored mobile banking app enriched with AI features. You also have data regarding financial transactions, wherein the expenditure pattern of a customer is looked at. It is also important that this data is being customized to go back to the customer with a investment plan or budgeting exercise, or send some notifications which is going to be important, relevant for that particular customer. AI is used to prevent frauds today, right? More and more banks are using mobile apps that can find any suspicious activity happening at the customer's account, basis behavior analysis, right? For example, online transaction of a huge amount from a customer's account that has a history of small transactions, you would immediately get a call from the bank to verify whether it is a transaction which you have done or someone else, right? AI also plays a vital role in protecting personal data. Cybersecurity, right? That's more and more important these days, right? Similarly, as we move forward, you would see more and more AI-powered mobile apps, right? And therefore, the risk assessment process, let's say, AI is being used to assess whether what's the risk profile of a customer before giving a loan. Driving banking's business, and I like to quote an example here. Wealth management and portfolio management now can be effectively and efficiently managed with AI. It brings banking at your fingertips for the users who just hate to visit banks, and at the same time strengthens mobile banking facilities for managing basic banking services, right? Another important feature of AI is card management system, right? It not only automates your credit and debit card management system, but also helps you get rid of the long authentication process that the banks would have otherwise, right? Now, we worked extensively with the State Bank of India, right, wherein to analyze the data and give them some meaningful insights, largely generated to targeted to their mutual fund business. Now, what did we do here was basically looked at their existing customers' data, help them look at their existing customers' data, draw some intelligent insights, looking at their educational background, age, and other demography. We made the mutual fund offer or the traction that the bank used to otherwise do much more personalized and tailor-made for those users, right? Basis, with the help of analytics. We kind of looked at 160 attributes before proposing a particular mutual fund which would be more relevant to a customer. And, basis this, we could see that the traction, I'm not talking about conversion, but traction on the mutual funds portal increased by 50%, 500 as compared to what it was earlier, right? And that's the power of AI that we're talking about. Lastly, security, right? Now, this is very, very important. It can't, it's no more an IT discussion. It's already taken a seat in the boardroom long back, right? And then for the last 5 years, it's been so. Every new architecture, has to be compliant, and effective risk reduction, and more efficient customized operations, right? The very fact that the surface area of the security attacks have widened considerably, right? So bank has to today fortify all the touch points, front end, network, operations. All these touch points use multiple applications and tools which are discrete. Again, don't talk to each other, so making the whole process much more complex. Therefore, it becomes very difficult and important for the bank to have a bird's eye view, right? A top view of the entire operations using, the next generation SOC, SIM solutions, and so on and so forth, right? And same time, with the increasing pressure on the CIOs and the customers to adopt cloud, not all banks have been able to migrate to cloud for the simple reason that they had the fear of handling security and compliance. Now, what if the question is, what if security on cloud itself had, in the cloud itself had all the parameters ticked on for the security, right? Including compliance as required by the regulators and made available on day one, right? Now, that's exactly what IBM's endeavor is in this area, right? When IBM's cloud for financial services, it is a pre-configured cloud supporting the financial organizations, right? Confidential computing built to manage and strengthen your security and compliance postures across the workloads, allowing you complete control. De-risking the digital supply chain, growing ecosystems of ISVs, fintechs, integrated and accelerate innovation while reducing risk at the same time, right? Address continuous compliance. Now, just imagine India, if any banks is being asked or subjected to an RBI audit, just imagine that the audit report or whatever documents required, the compliance documents required, is available at the click of the button. It's very much possible with the IBM Cloud for Financial Services, which basically works, very much on a zero trust principle, right? IBM offers industry-strong commercial, available state-of-art cryptographic technology, right? And KYOK, right, which is keep your own key. This is something which is very, very unique to this cloud and helps protect your data, wherein only you have access to your data and no one else can, look at your data. And now, these are the business activities or the business architectures. Now, how do you bring this to life, right? If you look at the overall, IT architecture to support this high-level business architecture, given the complexities today, right? Now look at the number of applications that each of these banks have today, right? Now, the large Indian banks have 700 plus applications today, right? State Bank of India has got 1,000 plus. Global Bank, Lloyd Banks today has got 3,000 plus applications. Therefore, it becomes extremely critical to handle the data. If I look at the basic bottom layer, if I look at the bottom layer of this chart on the left, the infrastructure and the network security layer. And it's all about today. It's all about how can you modernize this infra layer to suit your requirement, right? And offer you flexibility and also help you manage the complexity of and the scale of the whole organization that you have today. Therefore, and the technology that you use today is again infrastructure as a code, secure, highly secure and scalable infrastructure architectures for enterprises. Those are the things which becomes very, very important here. It's also important, that neutrality that is brought about an open framework, is prevalent here rather than getting tied to a proprietary system, which again you get locked in with a particular vendor. IBM helps in this journey, with a very specific consulting depth and breadth that we have across, and then we follow a very simple process of AMBM, which is advice, which kind of covers the entire journey to cloud, whether it is advise, build, move, and manage, across mix of legacies and the new cloud native applications that you have. If you see bank predominantly today is heavy on VMware native x86 platform, some on Power and mainframe. Now, our idea of infrastructure modernization is to bring uniformity in addressing and consuming resources, right? And this abstraction management and monitoring is a tool which is driven by Red Hat, which we've recently acquired. Now, the next is modernizing the application. Here we look at the legacy application and again find the right candidates to be moved to cloud native architectures. Sometimes it's a complete rewrite. At times it's a matter of porting and making incremental changes. Keeping in mind that some applications we may choose to leave in the legacy architectures themselves because it just may not make business sense, right? Modernization and execution follows these careful balance of business value and versus technical capabilities, right? Often at times this requires us to work very closely with ISVs and other ecosystem partners. At the same time, infusion of AI and modernization goes hand in hand here, right? It's important to also consider the business impact to the cloud on the basis of costs, which is a very, very important aspect today. The customer experience that we talked a lot about in the previous session. And at the same time, revenue flow and the new business model, right? Baroda Kisan was the best example when it comes to a new business model, which is agri-banking. The next is about workload and process automation, right? It's about RPA, Intelligent Automation, and it couldn't have been more relevant at this time, especially given the pandemic since last almost 1.5 years now, right? Next is about digital banking, the digitalization of the banking services, basically, right? And bringing banking services to handheld and continuously upgrading them with deep differentiation in terms of experience, right? We did a project with ICICI here, wherein we created a digital engagement hub for them, enabling the bank to have a digital engagement with its customers through any channel, right? Mobile, web, all devices, APIs, and therefore enabling the core platform to use cloud native functionalities while being on premises, right? While all of this is important, right? Security runs across, and that's the heartbeat of all of this, right? And it runs across, and it's very, very important. So, in summary, right, in order for the bank to explore the possibilities of new business architecture, these important IT architectures needs to be kept in mind and needs to be aligned to, right? Every layer here is important and it needs to be modernized. You may not look at a particular sequence either top to bottom or bottom to up, right? You can go in any direction, and depending on sideways or top to bottom, depending on the business strategy that you have. For example, Baroda Kisan that I talked about was a top to down approach. It was agri-banking. ICICI DEH example that I just gave was to improve efficiencies, and it was more about API and microservices layer. SBI, that mutual fund, was systems of insight, right? Intelligent automation. And the call center example was more about intelligent workflow, from improving efficiencies on the workflow side. So IBM to you is the best is best to partner with, right? Because of the technical breadth that we have, whether it comes to Red Hat, you would have heard about Cloud Paks, the experience that we bring onto the table in terms of depth of skills that in the people that we have, tried and tested methods. For journey to cloud, we use the advise, move, build, and manage. And also can partner with you in any of these phases, right? Depending on what your requirement is. That's all from my side. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Vikas, for that wonderful presentation, and I think fantastically highlighting on the key aspects and the key solutions that IBM is offering to the entire Indian banking industry. And what a way to end the day 2 of the India Banking Summit. So thank you once again, Vikas, for that wonderful and very, very delightful presentation on the subject of the Indian banking industry. Thank you so much. So, ladies and gentlemen, good evening to all of you. I hope all of you had a great day with our esteemed speakers, sharing knowledge and expertise on the diverse topics and connecting with the entire ecosystem of the banking fraternity in India, and also getting the latest updates of the new and the latest products and services from our sponsors and partners throughout these 2 days. I take great pleasure to thank all of our honorable speakers, our delegates, our partners, and sponsors for your support. With this, we would like to close the proceeding of the India Banking Summit for this 2-day affair on 10th and 11th of June. Thank you so much for your support. And again, my big thanks to all of the attendees. We are with 1,300 plus live attendees, a new record. Thank you so much for joining in for both the days, that is yesterday and today, and giving your valuable time in a busy working Thursday and Friday to make the India Banking Summit 2021 successful. I hope to see all of you again in the next edition of the India Banking Summit 2021. Before I wrap up, I would again like to thank our sponsors and partners, our presenting partner, NovoPay Banking, our banking AI partner, Co.ai, our category partner, IBM, our fintech partner, Jokata, AI and robotics process automation partner, Automation Anywhere, digital transformation partner, Altair, omni-channel communication partner, Carix, business development partner, Rubik's Data Sciences Private Limited, intelligent automation partner, botminds.ai, digital payments partner, Cashfree, corporate partners, Trijara, ACL Mobile Limited, Quality Kiosk. Thank you so much, everyone. See you at the next edition of the India Banking Summit 2022. Thank you.